welcome to this episode 175 of Frame and Reference. You're about to drop into a conversation between me, Kenny McMillan, and my guest, Rina Yang, BSC, DP of The Fire Inside. Enjoy. Have you had any time, because it's the holiday, have you had any time to like actually watch stuff? I know a lot of times when people are working, you don't get to watch anything.
I've started binge watching stuff because I'm BAFTA and I want to vote properly by watching all these movies they spend their life making.
Right.
I've been watching and I'll try and watch more tonight. Yeah.
What have you been watching?
Tonight I'm going to watch The Brutalist.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I've seen All We Imagine Us Lie and all the, great contenders and just beautiful movies. So I've been watching those ones.
I had, for the podcast, not that I wasn't going to watch them anyway, but I watched Nosferatu, Wicked, and Nickel Boys back to back.
Oh, beautiful. I love Nickel Boys. It's so beautiful.
It was so great. I already got to talk to Jomo about it. He's fucking lovely.
Yeah.
But certainly emotional whiplash going from Nosferatu to Wicked to Nickel Boys. It's
I need to watch those Nosferatu and the Wicked. I've been kind of saving those entertainment ones for Christmas. I want to watch more like cinematography movies.
Yeah,
for now.
Nosferatu is shot incredibly.
Oh, great!
It's a good time. My memory of it is it being in black and white, and it's not.
Oh wow! Okay.
It's so like dense visually. Okay. It's very nice. I like it.
That's interesting because that's challenging to do. Like expressionistic visual if it's color.
Well, they shot film.
Oh, great! I'll check it out.
Yeah, because I know you shoot a shit ton of film, right?
I try to, but I don't get to shoot on film as often as I'd like to.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like, especially all that, what's funny is I've talked to a lot of like older DPs and they're usually people who like built their career on music videos and shit. And I'm always like, what do you guys see as the current thing like that? But you're actually out here shooting all these incredible music videos. You get to do it the OG or the way that I learned, I guess.
I came through music videos too, so I'm just kind of still doing music videos because I love them, and just slightly on a bigger scale. Yeah.
What was the one that like where you were like, oh, finally, I get to actually flex a little bit?
I don't know. I mean, like, I haven't said that I get to the bigger videos, but it's still very tough, You don't have the money of the commercial all the time or this, So, yeah, it's still a very hard project, but very satisfying when you do music videos because, you do videos because you love the artist or the music and, it tends to be cool visual.
Yeah. I'm definitely a big Dua Lipa fan of all things, so that was fun to see. You've done a bunch of her videos.
Yeah. Working with Dua was great. She's she looks great on camera. She's such a great performer.
Yeah. What are the kind of the like? I guess this kind of fits into commercials too, but like commercials and music videos certainly follow a fashion. So I imagine there's music videos where people are like, no, I want it to look like, Technicolor or whatever. Yeah. But like, what are kind of some of those things that a lot of those productions are asking of you that you aren't getting asked for? Like, obviously, a narrative needs to look a little more realistic a lot of times.
But for commercials and music videos?
Yeah.
Well, I think commercials, to be fair, all look the same.
Yep. But it's an easy, or not easy, but it isn't. Does that not make it kind of like a? I'm going to use easy, but like it's a target, right? Exactly. It's like coloring in the lines kind of.
Yeah. I mean, it's most of the projects, it's, I've shot maybe like 500 commercials or something that what they want and you can achieve those as long as, you let production know what you need to achieve those looks. But then every now and then, maybe very rarely, 1 in 20 or 1 in 50, you get a very beautiful commercial, and we get lucky sometimes. So those occasions are rare, and those are the ones that look different from the rest of them. But most of the time, yes, it does. They'll kind of look the same. Maybe because, I mean, there's no prep time on the time to dream, like what we do when we make movies. We try to be more inventive, maybe, or the visuals feel unique because we are trying to come up with the visuals that's specific to the narrative and the story of the movie that we're making. But when it comes to commercials, yes, there tends to be some sort of narrative, but we're trying to sell something in 30 seconds, and it tends to go with the kind of same kind of narrative and the look that I guess the consumers and the people feel comfortable and familiar with. Yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
when you're in prep for those things, is there just like a checklist like, all right, so we're gonna be shooting on master primes, it's gonna be an Alexa, we need these fixtures.
The commercials? No, every commercials I do, they ask me what I want to shoot on, but then, if some creative commercials come along and if I wanted to shoot on film, that could become a tricky conversation, like the budget constraints and stuff. But no, I change, I pick the camera lenses. I talk to my director, what kind of lenses do you want to use for this project, and I'll suggest the options that are available in the city, or if you could fly the lenses in from other places. And then I'm very specific about like the lighting fixtures that I would use, because it's just like if I don't have the tools that I trust, I can't really do my job well. so so yeah, I have specific list of lights that I try to get, depending on the look we try and achieve.
Yeah. What are those? Because I certainly I've become sick of sky panels. I don't. There's better options. We have cream sources now. Even Kino Flow is better.
Yeah, I mean, the dozens of options, but I think the part of the reasons why everything looks the same is we use the same camera, same kind of lenses, and the lights. The lights we just use light mats, Titans, Helios, sky panels, Vortex, all the same stuff. The diffusion, the cloth that we use is the same, the grid, silk, we're bouncing off the ultra bounce. So it all feels the same. So I guess, it's really like little things, like subtle things that you do on set that makes it look different, I guess. But yeah, I use standard stuff like, Vortex and light mats, and always carry Titans and Helioses. But I always carry tungsten sources because I like tungsten.
Or do you now? This is something that's been brought up a lot. Do you use tungsten specifically for lighting people as keys, or is that just kind of like, hey, we need a lot of power over here or whatever?
If I really have to use HMI, I do. If I need power, I use them for that, like accent in the background. Like if I need to lake the building or something. And no matter what I do to HMI, bounce, diffuse, it's just, I don't know, I don't really like the way the skin looks, or just the feeling on the people's face. So I tend to use tungsten for that. And I know the digital is very sensitive, but I like the light a lot, and then it's not that I like the light a lot. It's because the digital is too sensitive, that because I don't want that much details in the shadows, and in order for me to lose some details, say that they have a punchier shadow, I actually have to light like crazy, and like it's like a phantom shoot, and then like ND it down like 1.2 or something, or more, even if it ain't like indoors. And then production might be like, why do you need all this like an array of 20Ks? And then, well, because I need to, because if I shot wide open with ambient, there will be too much details in the shadow, and I have no contrast.
Yeah.
So that's something. I mean, if it's the look you're after, the naturalistic, just the natural light, and then you can't really control the shadow details, fine. But it's actually very tricky. Yeah, I end up using bigger lights shooting digital. When I shoot on film, I don't have to, these like trying to punch 100K so I can crush the shadows, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you kind of have to with film. I shot 16 millimeter in film school, but I
yeah,
still shoot film photos and
yeah,
on like medium format.
yeah.
When you're right. I have noticed that with digital, you have to create with lighting that toe that naturally comes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and then with film, I have to fill in the shadows if because if you don't do anything, it's just it's a I don't know, like yeah, it's just a crunchy black, and there's nothing, there's no going back. So yeah.
yeah. With digital, are you still a meter person?
Hmm. Phantom on that, yes, but no. When I'm shooting on digital, I tend to use false color on camera,
Yeah.
and if I'm just doubting like there's something going on, then I would need to make sure that what I'm seeing and what I am seeing on camera match, because sometimes say the sensor might not be in a good shape, but most of the time I just use false color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally did just buy a Ninja just so that I could have the EL zones
Mm.
because I learned like zone system for exposure, and
Yeah.
the false color is great for telling me like, oh, that's censored. The sensor just doesn't see it. That's crushed. Like that's dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
But creatively, I'm like, what's purple? I don't think an IRE.
Purple just before losing details.
Yeah,
Yeah.
purple's the danger zone.
Yeah, exactly. DIT will come running.
Yeah,
Are you sure about this one? Yeah, yeah, don't worry. There's this highlight there, the where one accent. Yeah.
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 What was it like shooting Euphoria? That because you guys shot what Ektachrome on that?
Oh wow, yeah, that was nerve-wracking.
I
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah, I mean, I also had very little prep, because I just finished a film called Nanny in New York, and then
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Sam and Marcel called me, like, can you come to LA? I shoot an episode, like, really need someone. And then I was like, oh my gosh, no, I'm exhausted from shooting this film in New York. Should I go? It's like, just like a month and a half. I was like, okay, sure. Yeah, I'll go. And then I go. And they're like, yeah, we should have this thing called Hexachrome. I was like, Hexachrome? So like, wow, okay, well, that's tough, man. Like, there's not much dynamic range there. I can't fuck up. And then, I mean, it's all these amazing actors and huge, like, camera moves and sets, and like, yeah, you have like a week to prep. I was like, okay, brilliant. Let's 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 rock and roll. And then I just did like a day of testing just to just for me to learn the limitation of the stock. So I did the over and under test, like three or four stops over, 3 or 4 stops under, and then learned that if you're not spot on, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So that was a really good, like a day to test. I was like, okay, cool, all right, so I can't fuck up. And then, show up on set on the day one. It's like this huge sequence with Sydney. Oh, Sydney Sweeney, in her house, and then we literally start from the outside in the garden. We go into the kitchen, then they go down to the den, and we truck across the house, and then we end up in the living room. And it was like, great, Ectochrome, let's go! Like, let's just give me like half an hour to like this here. It was just like, and like came up like beautiful. I was like, day one, so the Russians was like, wow, this stock is so special that it's just like sees. I don't know. It sees the world the way you can't see it. You just need to know how to expose it and light for that. But yeah, I love the challenge was, and Sam Levinson. He's just got amazing visual eye. So I really enjoyed working with them.
Yeah, you said he could be a DP himself, eh?
Yeah. I think he's got great eyes. I think what he said about in the performance and then the cinematography enhancing the performance, it was like, if the lighting is not how it should be, the performance is half as good. And I could kind of resonate with that this kind of the show Euphoria, because it's very visual and it does help enhance the moments.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine your experience shooting music videos helped because if you stuck me, I mostly shoot documentary at this point or like corporate. And if someone was like, all right, we're going to go full color, have a ball, I'd be like, I don't know how. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the music video kind of muscle does help, you kind of rock and roll and then you're up for challenge with very little time and resources. Well, on Euphoria, we have great resources, but time is always an enemy on set. Yeah.
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 Yeah. You guys really did like set the world on fire with that. Like it's rare to hear people talk about cinematography like culturally. Every once in a while, I live in LA, so movie nerds are always going to talk about it. But to have like essays written about the cinematography of Euphoria, that must have been kind of gratifying to be a part of.
Oh wow, I didn't know if people wrote an essay about that. I mean, that's
tons, yeah. Especially on YouTube.
I mean, that's hats off to Marcel, Marcel is on Sam. They just did a beautiful job and look forward to seeing what they're gonna do next, with the new season.
Yeah. On the topic of like what is this is dumb again, tech nerd question, but what is the dynamic range of is it like 6 stops?
I think if you're off 6 stops, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I did the over and under test, I think I did 4 stops and like a 2.5. There's no details left in the highlight.
Wow.
I mean, if you're 2.5 under, it's just very underexposed, so you really have to be spot on. And you need a lot more fill than you think in the shadows. So we would joke that it looks like soap opera on set because we would like have to light so much, like highlight and the shadow. Like the ratio is very like it's not that contrasty, but then once you process, there's a lot of contrast on there. That is, the shadows are heavier, so yeah, it's not one of those like a Vision 3 where you can kind of rock and roll and then it'll come out looking amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the experience like shooting, film? Because I think my current understanding of it is like you got your Vision 3, which is like made to be scanned and stuff. And then you've got something like the Alexa 65, which has just so much details, or even the A35. But just that massive sensor does seem to gather a lot more, like let you kind of light a little more naturally, I suppose.
The experience of shooting on the Alexa?
The 65 specifically.
Oh yeah, I've only shot the big one when it was popular before we realized it's just too big and heavy.
Well, now they got a little one.
I remember doing a handheld on 65 and I was like, just get this camera off me right now. Like after every take. Like, okay, it's like, this is gonna break my back. But no, yes, I'm so glad that the little one's coming out. So I'm looking forward to testing the new Alexa 65. Alexa 35, on the other hand, I love it. I've been shooting on Alexa 35 for most of the projects this past year, which came out because I used to shoot on the LF a lot, but then it doesn't retain highlight as well as Alexa 35 does. And I mean, it's almost impossible to blow highlight with Alexa 35, which, can be challenging if, say, you're on, set build in a studio and then you need to blow highlight outside the window. But, like that can become a challenge. But yeah, I mean, it's great. I love shooting on the, 35 and having those, the details and flexibility.
Right. I remember in an interview you did, you were talking about how, you learned all the technical stuff at one point, and then, that's kind of day one, page one. I was wondering if you had mentioned, all the gear is always the same. Does that kind of free you up to only focus on the creativity? Kind of going back, I feel like there was a lot of options there in the middle after film, for like digital, everything, lighting, whatever. And now it's kind of gone back to like, 3-4 choices. It's,
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's kind of similar in a way that everyone was shooting film and now everyone's shooting Alexa 35 or Venice. And, so that allow you to have the room to to concentrate on maybe like lensing or the lighting, or yeah. So you have a bit more creative mind space saved for other things
The
rather than
important stuff.
the important stuff. Yeah, rather than worrying about, do we have 20 feet left in the mud? Okay.
Yeah.
Sun is setting. Can we reload in 2 minutes? Kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know you've shot with Bradford Young,
Yeah.
and I was wondering what did you learn from him? Because obviously he's very accomplished DP. I think
Yeah.
everyone universally loves his eye.
Yeah.
What are some of those maybe conversations you had with him that taught you some stuff?
He's such a great director. I really loved working with him. He has this kind of spiritual, philosophical way of talking about things. So I love listening to him talk. and I mean, we did commercials, so it's not like we went deep into the narrative of the commercials, we would talk about what the scene is. And the lensing for that commercial was that we wanted to use wide lens, so we pretty much use like 27, 28, and 37 mil. So that he has a really good playlist. That's
Nice.
something I remember. So he always has really good music playing on set. And there's probably got really good music. He'll come with the big speakers. I mean, production will make sure there's big speakers. And then I think because he cares about like the energy of people on set, and those great energy creates something good, or the vibe is very important. And he's such a great curator of he's the vibe master. And I love working with him. And whenever I keep bumping into him in different cities like Milan, LA, London, and we somehow end up in the same cities. And then every time we bump into each other and chat, it's just it's a great vibe, yeah.
Yeah. So, is he actively DJing while directing, or does he have some? Is it just playing?
No, he's just got great playlists. You know what? I think he did have a microphone at some point. He was, I think he might have been kind of like MCing. That was
Nice.
great. It was the right moment for that scene that we were shooting. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It does. Just looking at your like
Hmm.
resume, basically, it does seem like a lot of very creative people. And obviously, everyone in this industry is creative, but I mean, like, obviously, Rachel, him,
Hmm.
Taylor Swift, whoever, they seem to come to you.
Hmm.
I imagine, obviously, you're talented, but like, I imagine a lot of that does have to do with the way you interact with people. And I was wondering if maybe
Hmm.
you have an insight as to what others can do to attract more creative people and less, I don't know, annoying people.
Well, I mean, when we're starting out, and grinding, we take everything we can, right? And as you progress in your career, you start to curate and you start to realize what kind of people you want to work with. And I'd worked with assholes and in before, and that wasn't for me. And I don't want people to feel like terrified. So I want people to create things from because they want to create something with me, so it's early on in my career, you start to, I don't know, pick the people you want to hang out with. And I mean, pick the people you want to grow with, so and you have a taste and tendency, the things that you tend to gravitate towards. And for me, it was a lot of the people I worked with when I was coming up, like FK Twigs, like I loved working with Twigs. She's such a great artist who keep evolving, and all the directors that I work with, they tend to have the values that they represent, or the kind of projects that they make, that I feel like I can kind of, well, I want to shoot their projects. I just gravitate towards certain like aesthetics or the subject matter that make the films about or the music videos, and so that's how I think you know yeah yeah pick the people you want to grow with. So that's I think that definitely helps in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that's certainly the hard part, right? When you don't have gigs coming in and you're like, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, but
Hamburger
then
bun commercial.
yeah, well, you gotta be proactive. It's I used to just try and let make the projects happen. I was kind of like a producer almost. If there's a music video, you kind of half producing or short films as a DP because you tend to be the most experienced person. You help them produce the film and you try to navigate, towards something that you can be proud of and don't wait around. I guess I do wait around for good scripts, but because I
Sure.
can't write good scripts, but you can still be proactive in kind of maybe meeting people or making a project happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you've certainly done more music videos and commercials than narrative, but
Mm,
when did you finally feel comfortable kind of leaning more
mm,
into narrative? Where
yeah,
it didn't have to be a paycheck, where oh, it's
yeah,
going to be a little harder. It's maybe the budget
yeah.
isn't as good or whatever. But
Yeah, I'd actually started in narrative. I used to shoot like a lot of short films. But short films are really hard because there's basically no funding, and everyone's a newbie. So it's a lot of work, and also back then it's pre Vimeo or YouTube, so they would have to go through the festival circuit. So you'll have to wait a year or two for the film to come out. Like the career pathwise, it just doesn't make sense to me. I did like a math in my head. I think I can't be waiting for this film to come out in 2 years' time. So that's like the one of the reasons why I started shooting music videos because you would shoot a video and it's out in 2 weeks or sometimes a week or maybe like 3 days.
right,
Sometimes when you have a crazy schedule. That definitely propelled like the speed of kind of showcasing my work. So that was kind of my little career plan. Okay, I should do music videos because I meet people quicker that way. So that was like the beginning, and then I got busy in music videos and commercials world. Then at some point, my agent was like, "Oh, yeah, you should start shooting narrative again." And then I'm like, "Oh, I guess I should," because it's bizarre. But then I don't know, maybe it's less and less now. But you are labeled as commercial DP
right,
or you are narrative DP. Even though I think that those two things could cross. So I started shooting TV shows to showcase to the grown-ups that yes, I can handle a 60-day shoot and I can organize and manage my crew
right,
for extended period of time. And so I did that, and then we go into filmmaking because we loved watching movies growing up, and I wanted to make movies. So I'd always wanted to make movies, but again, because people saw me as a commercial DP, I had to start from TV shows first, then into films. So yeah, I mean, luckily I got in there, but some of my DP friends who mainly shoot commercials, we do have conversation where they want to break into narrative, but they can't. Like, how would I do that? And then like you still have to, start with maybe small movies, and that's how you get in. And it's like I guess when I was shooting indie music video, it's just very very hard. But we gotta start from the bottom up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like one of those things. I know plenty of DPs who, whatever, got started in horror films. And they're like, yeah, but I really actually love romantic comedies, and they're like, no one's hiring you for that, buddy. Like,
Yeah, I feel you, but yeah, it's a journey, I because I think every time I do a project, then it doesn't necessarily look like the way like I want it to look, or I try to think of it as it doesn't define me as an artist. It's more it's not a stepping stone, but it's steps, right? And then one day I'll get to make a movie like Carol
Right.
by Dr. Haynes, Edmund one. So beautiful. So it's also like I think we keep making movies and keep making new projects because I don't know, it's just I want to keep trying. It's like okay, next one is gonna be the one, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and to me, it's always felt like I guess like a practice. Like every show, every whatever, every project, you learn something, and that informs whatever your end quote unquote end goal is. Because I've heard plenty of stories from people will win Oscars and they're like, and nothing changed. You know, like this was nothing.
Yeah.
But it's like everything kind of leads. Oh, okay, next time, if whenever I do get that final, when I get to shoot the Matrix, I'll,
Yeah.
that's
Well, yeah.
the thing I'll use.
Well, that's a good point. Like when I was a baby DP, like the projects I got to shoot so far and the projects I'm shooting now, I would have never dreamt of, doing as a maybe straight out of film school. If they told me that you'd be shooting this in 10 years' time, I'd be like, get out of here, like, no, all I want is like maybe like a DP and then make enough living so I can pay my rent. That's all I want. but then, it's yeah, you never know. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that you. One thing that kind of kicked off your wanting to be a DP was watching a behind the scenes featurette after a
Yeah.
sci-fi film. That was first of all, what was that film, and also was the featurette on television or was it like a special features thing?
It's DVD. I come from like my dad would watch movies on VHS. He was really into watching movies in the evening, so I would tag along to the video store, and he would rent all these movies, and I just sit next to him and watch like Godfather, and then like I would call them just really loud films. He liked watching loud movies with guns and like cowboys, and I didn't necessarily enjoy them, but I liked watching movies and. Yeah, so that sci-fi movie, I think I found out what it was. I need to watch it again. It was DVD, and I watched the movie, which I thought was, oh, it's okay. But then it had like feature bonus, and I was like, oh, it's this. I think it was also like a new thing to have a bonus clip on
Yeah, yeah,
DVD. And then I started watching it, and I was like, what the hell? It's like these creatures, the people inside. I was a kid, so I was like mind blown, and then seeing all these people with like machineries around them. Now I know it's just like a C stands and
right, right.
diffusion and the haze and everything. I was just like the mind blown. I was like, wow, this is how you make movies. It's crazy, and it just changed my world, and I started making my own like stop motion animation. That was yeah.
No, the only reason I bring it up is because it was exactly the same for me. When I remember at the end of the Liar Liar VHS tape, there was a outtakes reel, and I was like, "That's interesting," because they at the end of the VHS tape is just credits, and then it turns off.
Yeah.
And then or it auto rewinds if you have a fancy VCR.
Yeah.
And then literally when DVDs came, it was like The Matrix and like a few other like early 2000s films where they had those special features. Yeah. Like, this is how we made it. I was like, you're telling me you can make these? Like Kevin Smith too. He was real good at having BTS stuff.
Well, I still love watching BTS. Like I work on set, but I still like watching behind the scenes.
I truly think like Disney's getting better at it, but like this whole shelf is all Blu-rays and stuff. And like, but aside from Criterion, like a lot of the special features on really cool movies are like ads, not like commercials, but it doesn't, we're not learning anything. It's like, we're doing interviews like, oh yeah, it was really great working with it. And I'm like, come on, give us you used to be able to do this.
Well, I guess it's all, not DVDs anymore. So there's more behind the scenes bonus features. It's all Netflix, Amazon, and, just click on the projects. That's it.
Well, the one that I've been pitching for a while now is it has to be easy to, how you can choose languages, English, Spanish, Japanese, whatever. There should be director's commentary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because like that's MP3 is only this big. It's not going to take up server space.
That's a really good one. I think, there was something, I can't remember what I watched, but there was, it was just on YouTube, the director commenting, like talking over the movie. That was really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few YouTube channels that'll rip the commentaries off of movies, and I'll
Yeah.
hit play on both of them. And like,
Yeah.
if I don't on it, but I watched The Fire Inside like end of November. Actually, you know what it was?
Oh.
It was right after the pandemic.
Oh,
Or
wow,
sorry, no, sorry. Right after the election.
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know what kind of mood you were in, but I hope
No one in the theater was in a great mood, and so
it kind of,
it it certainly made the film feel more immediate. For a film that's about the early 2000s, like it's kind of brought, you're like, wow, we still haven't changed any of that, have we? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I hope it was at least uplifting.
it's certainly, and I walked out of that theater. It's winter in LA, so the sun was already far enough down, but it took a few beers to think about. Um,
Thanks for watching it.
It was great. Yeah, they gave me tons of options to see it too. So luckily I didn't miss. A lot of times they'll be like, it's one theater across town. This
Yeah.
one was right next to me. It was very nice.
Okay, I'm
But
glad they got to see it in the theater also.
yeah, because you guys have been working on this for a while, right?
Yeah, Rachel tried to make, like, she's been on this project for at least 5 years because they went into production just before the pandemic and they got shut down. And then I think they spent a couple of years trying to bring the project back. And then we finally made it 2.5 years ago. And now it's finally out. So it's a half a decade effort. I guess if we include Barry writing, researching and writing the script, it's probably longer than 5 years. Yeah.
So I had seen you guys talk about how the prep phase was actually pretty difficult. I was wondering if you could walk through why that was.
I think it's because we had so many locations and set builds, very little time, and many boxing fights, and yeah, it's just a classic. Not enough time and money for what we're trying to achieve. That is why, and I think we had. I can't quite recall, but we had many logistical challenges, and the prep was very intense. Yeah.
Because it's funny because it's like the movie takes 5 years to get off the ground, and then you're given how much time for prep?
Probably spent a month and a half. I can't remember. Maybe 8 to 10 weeks prepping. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's standard for this kind of movie that you spend 10 weeks prepping and then, intensely shoot for, 30 to 50 days.
I was talking to Eric Messerschmidt a while ago, and he had said that, and I guess this makes total sense. I love, being on set and stuff. And I obviously don't shoot feature motion pictures, so I don't get the same experience that he does or you do. But he was saying that, like, if it was up to, I'm paraphrasing, but he was basically saying if it was up to him, he would just only do prep because that's fun. You get to dream, and then you get on set and immediately it's just compromise, just
nonstop. Me and Rachel, we agree. I guess other DPs like Robbie Ryan and some other DPs, we all don't like prep. I don't like prep. I mean, we need some time to prep for sure. I need enough time to get to know the film and sort out all the logistical things and break down the film into short lists and all that. But towards the end of the prep, it's all kind of spent talking about the problems that we cannot solve until we're on set. What if this happens? What if there's a lot of what ifs, and no, we need to talk about it. But me and Rachel towards the end of the prep were like, "Can we go shoot now? Like, can we get out of here yet?" And we're not very good at sitting still. So to go, 9 to 5. I mean, we was doing 10, 12-hour prep, so it was longer than that. But to go to the production office every day, sit through so many Zoom meetings back to back, staring at the screen rather than making a movie. Towards the end, we're like, we need to get out of there and start making this movie. But I think every single project feels like that towards the end of the prep. That's when you know that you're ready. So I think you need to get there, because the beginning of the prep, you do feel like, just so much information. You're trying to take it in and you're trying to, settle into it. So you can dream about what you want to do, and then your dreams are crashed, and then you're ready to shoot it.
Right.
You know? Yeah, yeah,
So when working, like, we already mentioned Bradford, but like when working with him, or in this case, Rachel, like, obviously she's an incredible DP, but this is your job now. In what ways was she collaborative in the sense of she was kind of being a DP herself? I know she operated on the film. In what ways was she like, hey, this is you, I'm going to go focus on this other stuff?
it really didn't feel like I was working with the DP. She had a director's hat on, and I would break down the movie like with any other directors in prep. With shortlisted, and the only time it felt like I'm talking to a DP is when I talk about technical details or the technical stuff that I'm going to do, and I don't have to explain why. She will get it. I'll be like, or she would know if she looks that way. I need to spend 45 minutes moving the key light.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So we would block them. We would give actors a lot of freedom, but then both of us will spot what's going to really put us behind the schedule. We're like, maybe like stand here. Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't kill the story, if it absolutely we have to look that way, then and we knew that was right for the scene, we would do that. But if we had options, then she would know why we can't look that way because all my lights are over there, that kind of stuff, and that was useful. But yeah, no, she was great with actors, and she was, had the pretty much spending all her energy to be the director rather than micromanaging department.
Right. Well, and I imagine for her, well, maybe not. In my head, it'd be kind of hard to let go of that muscle, that thing you've trained for so long to be a DP, to just be like, okay, because in my head, if I was directing and things got difficult, I would start to focus on the things that I'm trained on, which would be DPing, so it'd start to gravitate the other way.
Yeah, I mean, she did operate on some of the emotional scenes, and she asked me in prep if it was okay if she could operate sometimes, and I had no issues because I've worked with directors who like to operate, and she said there's just something that she can't let go.
Sure.
And I understand that because I do. If I want to operate, it tends to be the handheld scene because it's just such a visceral. You're in the moment with actors. And there's something that you can't let go, then I get it. And I don't mind the actors operating as long as they're good at it.
Right.
I've had actors before where all the frames are crooked, and I had to help them fix it. So, but this, sometimes it's just like all the cameras, and that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I saw it like 2 months ago, so my memory's a little fuzzy, but my recollection was that the look kind of changes throughout the film. Like it starts off pretty like gritty and simple, I suppose, and then especially when we start getting into like the Olympics and stuff like that, it really starts to polish up. And I was wondering, and I don't mean polish in a good way, I just mean stuff changes, and I was wondering if you could kind of walk me through A, if that was the case, and B, kind of what the thought process was there.
I think it came from the script and the narrative. That naturally, where she started was grittier, and it's this boxing gym, the local boxing gym, and then she gets to travel abroad, and then onto the Olympics. So the scale and maybe the slick look and all that came from her progression as a boxer. So it wasn't like we were forcing like we gotta start gritty and then we end slick. So that was more. It was more we were trying to be period accurate and an authenticity of where she came from and the journey that she took on as a boxer. Of becoming the gold medalist.
Yeah, because in I think it was your ASC clubhouse conversation. Rachel had mentioned something along the lines, which made me go wee, which was like, we're starting with sodium vapor because that's flint, and then in China at that time, there was a lot more LED technology, so that made more sense for the period. And I was like, that's cool. Like that's a neat way to delineate the two spaces.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that came from by us just researching what they had back then. And yes, Shanghai, China, they had a bit more advanced like LED technologies compared to where she came from in Flint at the time to 2012 Olympics, where it's very subtle and you probably wouldn't notice, but the thing still, we have to source and find whatever they were using back in 2012. It's low key hard because it's only 10 years ago. And
Right.
it's not like, I don't know, the technologies move on. For example, if you try to get Red One now, it would be very hard. The Red
Yeah.
One that works, it was kind of like that, let's say, trying to find the broadcast camera that they were using for 2012 for us to use for the film. Actually, like, those cameras were phased out and no one kept them because they would only keep like a super retro camera. TV broadcast cameras, I guess, were when we use, for like 50s or 70s. So yeah, that turned out to be quite tricky. But yeah.
So talk to me about lighting. There weren't any like lens changes throughout the same
Um,
lenses the whole thing.
yeah, I've done that for other projects, like say I'd mix like anamorphic and spherical, but this one, yeah, we pretty much used Panaspees the
Oh,
whole
nice.
time. I think we carried some H series. But as we started to shoot the movie, realized H series was just too extreme. So we would stick to speeds.
Mm.
Uh, mm,
So talk to me about like how you lit, for instance, the house, both houses, I suppose, and then how that maybe changed the gym, and then obviously ultimately the
mm.
higher end boxing areas. I know Rachel mentioned that at a certain point it kind of turned into a Marvel film, and I was wondering if you could expand on that.
Yeah. I quite like the look of the gym because I tend to gravitate towards something looking a bit more gritty and moody. So I like the fluorescent look. Rachel was referring to the Marvel movie as because we were shooting during the summer for winter. So we had to have all these blue screens outside the windows. And that gym basically had almost like the windows 270 to 90 maybe. They're all quite big windows. So there was, blue screens all around, and then we had to block the sun and push the cold ambient light and and all the car stuff or anything that's supposed to be winter, it's blue screen, and we had to shoot the plates separately. And so that's yeah. So
Crowd
that
replacement, I imagine.
yeah, crowd dupe, of course. And my task was to keep the audience's seats dark enough so it's not, you know, too lit for them to dupe later. And that, yeah, those are the challenges in terms of the marble of it all.
Yeah. Well,
But
because you don't notice. I mean, like, there's a lot. There's a lot to be said of people going like, "Oh, I hate VFX," but it's always like, no, you like that. You don't like bad VFX, which I think is fair.
yeah,
But that's
yeah,
usually a time and a money
yeah.
constraint, not like an artist problem. But
Mm,
watching this film, you don't see that. You don't
mm,
see that there's
mm,
replacements happening everywhere, and it's
mm.
really well done.
Yeah, they like the snow is VFX, and they did a great job with the crowd dupe because a lot of the time when you do crowd duplication, they don't want us to move the camera, but this was it's we wouldn't have had the movie if we couldn't move the camera for boxing movie in the
Right.
ring. Like we were like, I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to like, we're gonna be handheld, guys, like 270 all over. So, compromise was that I'd have to keep the audience's seats dark enough that they can do something later rather than, yeah. So luckily they did a great job with the
Yeah.
application. Yeah.
So what were just because I basically want to steal your style.
Hmm.
What was the kind of lighting setup for what's his name? Brian Tyree Henry? Is
Hmm.
that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that dude. Forgot his name. But
Um,
he's great in everything.
oh, BTH. Yeah, he's a king. He's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, so lighting his house, there's a lot of like great exterior stuff. Obviously, that sodium vapor play.
Mm,
But everything looks still has a lot of contrast, but still feels very soft. And
mm.
I was just kind of wondering if you could walk me through, some of the
Yeah.
maybe setups for his like kitchen, for instance.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, it was like you said, we were pushing the lights through the windows a lot, and I did make like the like a trap, almost like a trap door, but the ceiling that I can pop out. So I had soft boxes over each room, like say one in the living room, and then I had a softbox over the kitchen, and
Because that
then
was a set.
yeah, it was a set build, yeah. So that that provided enough ambient, and then I would try and uh, add a splash of color through the windows or a little contrast. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, because I remember too, like when she's in her like basement or whatever.
In the bedroom. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Mm.
they're like sitting on some stairs, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
that's Zay's bedroom. Yeah.
yeah, and it's
That was also set build. Yeah. Mm.
because it looks again doesn't look like it, and it just looks like
Mm.
it's lit through the windows, and that's it. Was that it, or did you have fixtures inside as well?
That room, I had no ceiling because, hey, you never know, but building ceiling is very expensive.
Yep, yep.
I always kind of want ceiling because I like low angle. But, maybe sometimes I get just a triangle want to hide the corners. But
Oh,
then
sure, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but that's it. I think I had no ceiling. So yeah, there was no ceiling. I also don't recall adding a softbox because I wanted to light through the windows. So yeah, I mainly lit through the windows for that one because I wanted it to feel like it's basement and naturalistic, and rather than having this big softbox coming from the ceiling. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Were there any sort of particular challenges that come to mind that you really enjoyed solving? I know the big oneer
Oh
is
yeah.
has been mentioned a handful of times, but
Yeah. Oh, solving. I mean, it's problem solving every minute and every day on set. So I don't know which one I should mention because I think we've talked about most of it. But mm, oh, I think it's like keeping the right balance of making sure that the actors are lit well, but not making it look like a glossy Hollywood movie.
mm,
Maybe I'll do it at one point in my career. But it still has like a commercial movie aesthetic. But I
right.
still wanted to retain some sort of kind of tactile indie feeling. Um,
So what do you mean by that? Like when you say like, oh, we don't want it to look glossy, or we don't
mm,
want to, we want to have a Hollywood aesthetic but still keep it grounded. Like what are you actually doing to achieve
mm,
that? Because I think a lot of people listening might um,
yeah.
intrinsically know that, but not know what it means to actually
Mm.
execute that.
I mean, there's a lot more ambient and feel. You can see more, it's like, and then I think, the actors are lit well. But when I say glossy, it's like, say, when I do a beauty commercial or like a perfume, high end, whatever beauty, and I would have special light for the face. There tends to be like a big light for the face. It glows on, it draws your attention to the beauty of this person, rather than the actors being in this environment, or it needs to, I mean, for me, it needed to feel like they live there, rather than they're there and now we bring the beauty light so they stand out. you know
Right, right.
sometimes that's the right movie. If you're making like a glossy movie about beauty, then yes, that's the right movie.
Holiday films.
Yeah, maybe
A lot of
perhaps,
holiday
yeah.
films are very pretty,
Or yeah, very pronounced bouquets, and then there's no depth of field, or that looks like you're shot on 5D back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 5D, that's such a funny reference too, because it's like we have an LF. We don't, it doesn't look like that. The 5D looked
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, 5D, FD 50 mil, whatever, then wide
One point
open.
two. Yeah.
Exactly, those bouquets, and then somehow looks like the actors are comp. That's just, that's not the aesthetic that we were going for. Yes, some projects, it's the right kind of look for that. But yeah, this one, yeah, and it's also, yeah, it's not like the visual that I gravitate towards. And Rachel does have naturalistic, the preference for the things to look more like naturalistic, as in like more realistic, and that's what we're trying to do rather than say, you know, expressionistic Nosferatu look.
Right.
That would have been not quite right for this movie. Yeah.
Sure.
Mm.
What were some of the things that you learned from Rachel? Because obviously she's directing you, but I imagine there had to have been certain conversations about your art.
Mm. I think I learned something from every project I do. It doesn't have to be a movie or good or bad, but just being a director it's such a vulnerable thing to do. And it's because it's on you and you're out there saying, I mean, I'm not saying, but you did it, you directed it, and it's a lot of pressure.
Right.
It's something like they'll never dream of doing. But Rachel like killed it like a boss. I mean, she is a boss lady, and and she did it with like very gracefully and with good vibes. Like, you could, the pressure and the insecurity that could, being on set, bring out the worst side of you. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
you could become the worst version of yourself working on set, and there's something you learn, through like 10, 20 years of being on set, that it's like therapy. It's like you get to know yourself so much more working on set under pressure than just, I don't know, living your life, going to yoga classes and meditating. um,
Right.
so, um, I mean, Rachel is this, no, it's just great humor. Like, I love her on and off set, and I guess what I learned from it is, oh, I don't know. What, hmm, what did I learn from Rachel? So much. You don't have to sleep so much to perform well. That's
Okay.
something. I think it's the more like Rachel thing. She would sleep like 4 hours a day, and then she would just be like bossing it, killing it all day. And it was like an in joke that I was called Power Nap. Because I need power nap on set.
Same.
Because I don't know any project I go shut my eyes for 15 minutes on lunch break. Oftentimes people want to talk about schedule or something. I would be like, guys, I just need 15 minutes so I have a fresh brain and I can perform well after lunch. So they just call me like, where's power nap? And then there's Rina is having a power nap during lunch. But then, Rachel will be like, killing it, 4 hours sleep. Yeah.
It's funny. You mentioned lunch. That was when I knew that I was finally on sets that had a budget. Is when in the morning someone would be like, "Hey, here's a bunch of like healthy options that aren't pizza or whatever. Tell us what you want." I'm like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna survive lunch. Cool." Like,
Yeah, we have a lunch break. Yeah, they'll get penalties if we don't break.
well, not just the break, but just like because otherwise, on the cheaper shit, they're like, "Hey, someone's gonna go to get pizza or like Chipotle
Oh,
or
right.
whatever," and then you immediately crash.
Oh, yes, yes, that's it. Or in the UK, it'll be like Nando's or Pret a Manger.
Right. Yeah. Greg's sausage rolls for everyone.
No, I learned to feed myself on sets when they don't have good food. That's another skill of surviving as a DOP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I had a thought there. There was another thought, but then I got oh yeah. Um in terms of dreaming about in prep and all that, um Rachel had mentioned that you guys basically cut all the nice to haves so that you could just get down to the actual like bare bones of shooting the thing and getting it done. And
Yeah.
what were those nice to haves that like you would, if you were given a budget and more time, that you think would have actually helped? Because I think the movie exists perfectly as is, but like
Yeah.
in your guys' head, like what would have put it over the top?
I'm trying to recall. There was a scene, I think I just remember the scene that we saved, but that was an aeroplane that we thought we had to cut when she was flying.
Where the turbulence freaks her out.
Yeah, we managed to bring it back towards the very end of the principal photography because we managed to save some money. So that was one of the babies that Rachel wanted to save. So I was happy that we could afford that. Others, I can't recall because I tend to move on from bad memories pretty quickly.
Right.
So I think I've already erased stuff from my mind. But there was some, I think maybe sets of scenes that we really wanted to shoot, but we just couldn't fit in. I think, yeah, those are the ones that we had to let go. But, like you said, things always work out in the end. And I couldn't imagine movie being any longer than it is now. And I think it has the things we needed to tell the story.
Yeah. Are you working on anything now? Or is it just full holidays?
I was doing a lot of commercials. There might be a movie that I do next year, but I'm taking it easy, it comes when it comes. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to that. And if it does end up happening, I'd love to have you back on to chat about it because this is fantastic. The time flew by.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. It's always weird to look at the clock and be like, that was 45 minutes. We got to start pivoting.
So good. No problem. That was really nice.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Like I said, please come back anytime.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great holiday.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Frame and Reference is an Owlbot production, produced and edited by me, Kenny McMillan. If you'd like to support the podcast directly, you can do so by going to frameandrefpod.com and clicking on the Patreon button. It's always appreciated, and as always, thanks for listening.